Welcome to the Franchise Woman podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships forged. I'm Rebecca Monet, CEO and Chief Scientist at Zoracle Profiles. I'm here with my friend and co-host, community advocate, speaker, author, and entrepreneur, Tracy Kawa. Tracy, our special guest today is Paul Linenberg. He's the president at Got You Covered. Got You Covered, the leader in custom window treatment across the US and Canada, and part of the innovative growing five-star franchising platform of home services brand, recently has been named a top 100 franchise for women by Franchise Business Review. Our friends, Eric Stites, Michelle Rowan, and team at FBR. So Got You Covered was among 350 franchise brands representing over 8,500 female franchise owners that participated in Franchise Business Review's research on the top franchises for women. Got You Covered franchise owners were surveyed on 33 benchmark questions about their experience and satisfaction regarding critical areas of the franchise system, including leadership, training and support, financial opportunity, and of course, work-life balance. So we love FBR, as you can tell, Paul, and I knew we had to have you on the show because I want to know what the heck is going on over there at Got You Covered. So welcome to the show.
Well, thanks. It's an honor to be here and look forward to our conversation.
So, Paul, got you covered, very accomplished. I just want a little sneak peek behind the scenes. Before we even get into how you got into franchising, what were you like as a kid? Did you always beat to your own drummer? Did you always beat to your own tune?
Well, it's funny you asked that question, Tracy, because I was a drummer. I am a drummer. And so there's some actual reality to the question. And I would say to some extent, yes, I think I've had an awareness about myself and my position in the world and just kind of been in tune with questioning that and making sure that I'm following my own path, right? And not just doing what everybody else is doing because that's what everybody else is doing, right? I firmly believe that one of my favorite phrases in my life is that drink deeply from the cup of life, for it goes around the table but once. And that's not the exact quote, but it's a quote that has resonated with me for years and really speaks to my whole life, I think, from childhood on to now. Because we have such a limited time on this earth and we need to make the most out of it. And so, yeah, I would say that I've spent some time in angst. I'm trying to figure out what my life was going to mean, and I still do to some extent, for sure, Tracy.
That drink from the cup of life as it only goes around once, that's deep, Paul. And I'm not sure all of us do that. So when did that come about? Was this something as a child, something as you went to university? How is it you got to fully embrace life and think about it more as some kind of meaning rather than I got to get a job and I got to get married and I got to do this?
Yeah, well,
That.
those temptations were strong, and I remember going to school, college, right? I was on the path to get a college degree, but there was nothing after there. There was nothing else written for me. So when I came to the precipice of like joining the real world, I realized, boy, I really want to make sure I do this right. I don't want to climb the ladder only to find out years later that the ladder is leaning up against the wrong wall, right? So I don't remember the first time I heard the quote about the cup going around the table once, but when I did, it just resonated because we just do this one time and we have to find our own path, one that gives us meaning and helps us take advantage of this limited existence we have on the planet. So yeah, I would say it's a theme that I've carried forward in my life, and I strive to communicate that and lead according to that and support our franchise owners who are also seeking to find their own path in life and find the things that are most important to them.
That's amazing. There's almost a sense of urgency with that quote, right? It makes you feel like a sense of urgency in life. So how does that apply to, join our team now? Follow your passion. Don't just climb the corporate ladder, like you said, 20 years down the road, like all that time. Is it wasted? Maybe not necessarily. You gain the experience, but still, it's still 20 years that you could have been following your own passion, right?
Yeah, that's a great point, Tracy. That sense of urgency, like life is short. You can't be afraid of failure or loss because that's not productive for you. That doesn't lead to meaning. Meaning comes from following your dreams and making meaningful progress toward a worthy goal. Like that's where the meaning comes in life. So you don't have time to waste, right? So when it comes to franchising, like that's what we do in this world, as you know, is find people who are ready, right? They hopefully have come to some level of realization for themselves where there's an instinct, there's something compelling them, or there's a calling that says, I can't do this anymore, or I want to do something different.
Yeah.
That's the voice in the wilderness that they need to follow. And it's an honor to be part of a process that you're involved in as well, to help guide people and support them and encourage them to follow the process and listen to that. You don't know where it's going to go, but just the act of following that path is immensely helpful and leads to growth in so many ways, and helps people find that ultimate meaning in their own lives. What's better than that, right? What's better than helping people do that truly?
Excellent point. It makes me wonder, this idea that all of us have a calling is what you said it was, or some kind of purpose, or some meaning in our lives. How do we find that? How did you find that?
Accidentally. The older I get, the more I realize that it's folly for young people to think that they can plan their lives and it's going to follow A, B, C, D, E, F. My experience, and I've learned from wise people like of our level of experience, you got to just do the next thing to some extent. You got to follow that next thing, and maybe the calling, the voice isn't the end of the day what you're going to be doing. When after I graduated from college, again, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I decided to move out to Colorado to be a ski bum, right? I knew that wasn't the end of the day, right? My future, but it was what I wanted to do next. Then from there, I said, okay, that was fun, but I'm ready to move on. And so I moved up to Alaska with the thought of becoming a pilot, right? And I spent 3 years up there. And I thought that might be the end of it, but it wasn't. And I ended up moving back home and following these various things. And in my life, everything has worked out incredibly well in the sense that when I joined this company, Got You Covered, as the marketing director, I didn't know it then, but I had built up all the experiences I needed to be really, really good at the job, right? Things like technology and marketing and software. And some experiences I had were good, some were not so good, but I think you learn a lot from those experiences that aren't so good because it tells you what you don't want to be doing. And so I'm getting long-winded, but yeah, that calling, Rebecca, I think is just listen, just pay attention. And dissatisfaction is a really good indication that you need to be doing something different,
Wow.
right?
Wow. What comes up for me as you're describing that is that it's a mindset, that I'm here with one life, with some kind of purpose. It's going to have some kind of meaning. I may not consciously know what it is, but I trust my life has meaning, and I trust that my life has purpose. And then whether it's a still small voice or if it's something, clanging in our ears, either way, we're going forward, and everything is preparation for. We may not know in those first 6 years, the 3 years in
Right.
Colorado, we may not know, but we have the belief system that our life has meaning. And at some point, everything that we've done before allows us to fulfill that meaning. That's what it sounds like when you're describing it to me.
Yeah. I think there are those people that have the calling, and I want to be a doctor, like from age 6, and they just like laser focused, and God bless those people and how lucky they are. But for most of us, and I'm going to say most of us, we don't have that. So we do have to sort of meander through life and try different things and ultimately find our goal. So we have to accept some level of dissatisfaction along the way. Like not every turn we make is going to pay off. There's going to be a dead end at some point, and we have to adjust and move forward. And it's nice at my stage of life, like most of that's behind me. So I've been through a lot of turmoil, and now I'm in a happy place. And I'm glad for all the experiences I had, and I feel like I have now a better sense of who I am, and meaning that compels me forward and helps me do my job, which is to help others find meaning. And so that's helpful to me.
And it probably puts you in a position where you're very relatable to others. You can probably put yourself in their shoes. You understand what they're going through.
Yeah, I believe in operating, not operating from ego. We're getting to all my phrases, but another phrase that really drives me is be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. This is from Oscar Wilde. And I think that speaks to the authenticity of, hey, like we're on this once, like let's be ourselves.
Yeah.
Let's do the thing we're here to do. We all have the role to play. As long as we don't care who takes the credit, boy, we can accomplish some really cool things. And so I am authentic. I'm who I am, like me or not. Like that, it just is what it is. And I think that by being authentic myself, and to some extent, it sends a signal out to other people that they can be themselves. And so if I have that small impact on people, then I'm very pleased about that, because I think we all need to operate that way.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. It's a place of authenticity, right? In a world where we're getting less and less of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that being authentic, being ourselves, also creates trust, where people know who we are and know what we stand for. So I appreciate that you're willing to be yourself in a world that kind of wants us to be other things. So
Yeah, and what's the alternative to that, right? You're not yourself, and then it's a miserable existence. So just do it. Just be
just do it.
yourself.
Just
Do
do it. So you went skiing, then you were going to become a pilot. So I think it's clear that you like altitude. Is that safe?
I would
Right?
agree.
So what I'm curious about is what you learned about yourself in each location and from each of those two time frames.
Well, but part of it is learning what you don't like. When I was a ski bum, I realized that the only thing to do in a ski town is drink and ski, and I done all the drinking I needed to in college. So, and I wasn't huge into skiing, but I think it's just being active, like doing stuff, being active, having a sense of adventure in your life. I
Nice.
think that would tie those two things together, is exploring, maybe.
Wow.
Exploring and adventure, maybe that would be the theme that ties those things together.
Yeah, and exploring possibilities, right?
Mhm. For sure. So this mindset that you have of drinking deeply from a cup, because the cup of life rather, and this idea of being authentically yourself because everybody else is taken, being an adventurer, making sure our ladder is against the right, whatever, career, marriage, place, whatever that is. How have you brought those philosophies specifically into Got You Covered?
Well, I'm so fortunate that I'm in the role that I am in, because I can't imagine being in, let's say, the corporate world. If I would have ended up there, I don't feel like I would have had nearly the ability to impact people's lives the way we can in franchising, because we're taking people who voluntarily want to take control of their lives in a way that they're not employees. I can't boss them around. So it's much more of a partnership.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's our job as the franchisor to help them achieve what they want to do. We have a sort of a symbol in our franchise system of a bicycle. And so when you invest in Got You Covered, we give you a bicycle and we teach you how it operates. And we think it's a world-class bike, and we're trying to improve it all the time. And when you get the bike, if you take it home and lean it up against the fence, you're not going to get very far. But if you get on the bike and you pedal, that's how you get to your destination. And it's the effort you put into pedaling, it gets you to where you want to be as quickly as you want it to be. So it's our ability, it's our position of influence to help those people get to where they want to be. That's the meaning in this. And so that's where I've just been able to really take the values that I have and impart them and help our beloved franchise owners achieve the things that they're here at Gotcha Covered to achieve.
That's wonderful. So Rebecca was mentioning in the intro that Gotcha Covered was named as one of the best places for women to be in franchise. So can you tell us a little bit about that? What makes it such a special place for women?
Yeah, well, I think that we have 2/3 of our base is women. I would say a third is women, just the woman owns the business. A third is the woman and a spouse or partner that owns the business. And then the other third would be just a man who owns the business. So again, 2/3 of our owners or of our franchise owners that have women owned business ownership. And so what do we care about? What do women care about, right? It's the flexibility. You mentioned this, Rebecca. And I'm gonna bring this back to crazy grandmas because my wife is a grandma. Rebecca, you admitted to me that you're a crazy grandma. And grandmas are crazy, Tracy. I don't know if you're a grandma, but they're nuts. They are nuts. They lose their minds with their grandkids.
It's true. It's
It's
true.
true. Yeah, and so we have a ton of grandmas in our system, right? Because you can be 50 or you can be 40 in a grandma, right? So
Mhm.
people who reach that stage of life, they're ready to do something for themselves, have the freedom, whatever. And so our system gives our owners complete flexibility. Like, and I have stories and stories and stories of our owners that are at the grandkids' soccer and at their plays and the recitals and all those things. So flexibility is huge, right? It's huge for women. They're running the house, they're running their families, they're helping run the business, right? So that's a huge part of it. And then there's a design aspect to it that appeals to a lot of women. You're in the home, right? And what's more important to a woman than her home, and being able to help other women and families improve their living situation and make their homes more beautiful, more welcoming, more comforting. And then there's just the emotional satisfaction that comes from that, right? Because we're providing window treatments, which is often the finishing touch on a space. So our owners, when they leave, not only do they get to enjoy the tangible, like project completed, but they get to leave a very happy homeowner who now their home has been beautified. And our owners get hugs, they get bottles of wine, they get pats on the back. Hey, come, we're having a house party next Saturday. Come and brag about yourself. So it's a very, very happy business that we're in. In fact, our owners. So this is not me. This is our owners have earned a 4.9 star reputation out of 5 across our entire history of our company. And it's because of the caliber of the people that we have, but it's that consultative approach. It's it's that helpful mentality that women are so good at, right? In helping people solve their challenges and giving a solution that works for everybody. So those are a few of the reasons that I think we won this award, which we're honored by. And we just love what we do, and we're happy that our owners get to find, their combination of success and income for their lives.
I love this story for lots of reasons. I was a single mama growing when my kids were growing up. I was divorced when they were 1 and 3. And I look back now and say, I wish somebody would have introduced me to Gotcha Covered back then, right? But instead of having to drive to 3 different corporate jobs just to put food
Mm.
on the table. And the biggest thing was, being separated from my children for hours on end, where Gotcha Covered has that flexibility, and a lot of the work you can do right there on your kitchen table, right? In many ways. So it's a wonderful opportunity for women. And of course, that expressive, creative, family
Mhm.
kind of thing. It's so perfect for women. So I'm going to flip the switch just a little bit on us here, Paul. What are the biggest challenges you have with working with so many women?
I can't answer that question. That's another question, Rebecca. You're just trying to get me in trouble. No, I'm just kidding.
Smart
Uh,
man.
yeah, right. I've learned some things along the way. There's nothing that comes to mind about women over anybody. I mean, human nature is some people are more motivated than others. Some people follow directions better. Um, but yeah, I mean, nothing comes to mind about we probably have more of a challenge with men, to be honest with you, because
Listen up, franchisors, listen up.
yeah, okay, I'm violating my here's why. This is a people business, and it's very important for our owners to get out and network in the community and establish trust with referral partners. That's gold for our owners. Again, it's a stereotype, but women are just better. They're higher EQ, right? And so they're better at relationships. Some men in our system have a harder time with that particular side of the business. And so because it's so important to us, they can struggle more because they're not as strong, it's not as easy for them, and they're just not as good or as proficient at it. So I don't know. I probably flipped the question back to you, Rebecca, but
No, this is what I expected, honestly, Paul. But it's also why couples do well in this business, right? If you're more inclined towards the relationship and creativity part, and one of the other partners, oftentimes the man, has the operational and financial skills, that makes for a great couple business also.
it's fantastic as a couple business, and for those reasons, each partner gets to play on their strengths. And back to the lifestyle, right? So the kids, the mom takes the kids to school, the dad's at home when they come home, or vice versa, whatever. But you can really co-parent very successfully running this business together because you have that flexibility there as well.
Wow. Do you have any good stories, any success stories, or just interesting stories of maybe somebody stepping into business ownership, or even
Yeah,
my soccer game?
I do. So her name is Becky. Becky's one of our top performers. Yeah.
Hi, Becky. Hi, Becky.
So Becky has a great story. She was a vet tech, right? And so she's working in a veterinary office, helping, but those people they hit a ceiling and there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
You can't do more than that without becoming a vet. And
Right.
so to do that in your early 30s, like you're maxed out, and this is what you're going to do for the next 30 years. Like, so Becky wasn't super keen on that. And she got just frustrated. I got to do something different. So Becky's husband, John, was a well-paid software salesperson. So she came on board, and their thought was she'll start the business and run it for a couple years, and then eventually down the road, maybe John leaves his lucrative job and joins the company. Well, Becky is a firecracker, and she just got on it. And it probably wasn't 6 months later before she's like, John, you gotta stop your business. You gotta quit your job, and you gotta help me grow the business.
Oh, wow.
So he did, and so they've been running the business for 8 or 9 years. They're in our top 10 every year. And in fact, Becky just won we have an award from our parent company, 5 Star. It's called 5 Star Drive, which is given to someone who reflects the values that we have as an organization. And we gave it to Becky because she's just an amazing person, a leader, has just done an incredible job for herself, her family, and her business. So that's a really like we don't get a ton of Becky's, but when you see a Becky like that, that's how to do it, man. That is a spectacular success story.
Well done, Becky. Shout out to Becky.
Yes.
Congratulations. I wonder how many more Beckys there are that are listening that aren't even in franchise yet, but that have or who have the superpower that they don't even know about.
Good point, Tracy.
Yeah, and she was a vet tech, so there's no skill that translates other than very general ones like a hard work and being smart, right? But
We need a profile on Becky.
Yeah. Well, I think it's cool then. John, was that her husband's name? Jumped right in. He saw something, right? And he's in there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna help her. She's on fire. I gotta make sure that I'm picking up after her. Let's go, right?
Yeah.
So I love that he jumped right in and saw the potential of Got You Covered. And of course, most importantly, his wife, he saw what she was into and that she was great at it. So tell us a little bit more about the 5 Star franchising. You call it a platform. And how has that benefited you and your franchisees to be part of something even bigger?
Yeah, so Five Star is our parent company. They own six franchises now, all in home services, and we were acquired. We were the first company to be acquired by them 3 years ago because our relationship with them goes back many years prior to that. So there's been an alignment. There's been a shared values and culture between us and the founders of that company. So we were thrilled to be acquired by them, to be part of the Five Star family. And so what that's done for us is it's just added resources that we wouldn't have had as a standalone franchise. And that's why, so as you know, so many, this is the trend in franchising, is because this model really works. And so it's things like better vendor partnerships, a lot of help in franchise development, finding high caliber franchise or candidates to join our system, better technology, marketing leadership, just really in financial, like in every area of the business, they've been able to improve how we operate, and we're a much better company as a result.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's a huge benefit, having been in franchising, and we're seeing this trend happening more where we're coming under an umbrella and we benefit from one another. Do your franchisees also benefit from possibly also then getting involved? I have a got you covered, but maybe I want this other franchise to have dual brands. Does anyone do that?
Yeah, we've just started doing that actually. I think we've had a couple now. So that's exciting. And then the other thing that will be part of a longer term plan is to do cross referrals, right? So the company that does mosquito control may find that they need window treatments, or window treatments may need bath remodeling services. So as we add individual franchise brands into the platform, we'll have a larger and larger opportunity for sort of cross promotion, which of course benefits everybody,
Yeah.
including the consumer.
Yeah, that's great. What else do you see for the future of the brand, and for your future? Can't leave.
Well, if we don't jump on the AI bandwagon, we are going to be left behind, and that's a whole nother conversation. Because I think that AI has within it the seeds of destruction or salvation. I hope it leads to salvation. And I think we all know it. You know, we've had experiences with chat, like we know how smart it's getting, but it's getting so smart in so many different ways. It's advancing almost beyond comprehension.
Wow.
So what do we do with that? So I think it's just something that we have to be aware of, stay attuned to, and implement it in the ways that are going to help our franchise owners and our consumers. But I think if you look at 1 to 5 years, that's the thing that's going to be incredible for us. For Got You Covered, I don't see a time where AI is going to come to someone's home and advise them on their window treatments. So I think we're pretty safe. I think there are other industries that are more at risk than we are, but I think there will always be that desire for a human to have some hand-holding by another human with a set of human eyes to say, hey, that looks good. I like that. That's a good decision, right? And so that consultative thing is going to be very hard to be taken over by AI. And I think that gives comfort to me. And so over the next years to come, hopefully we'll continue to grow and ultimately become just a household name in our industry. That's our goal.
Wow, great point.
AI is definitely a force to be reckoned with, and the key really with any new technology is to use it for good. And it sounds like that's the direction you're going, whether it's for marketing, better understanding your customers, you know, however that works, and helping our franchisees do their job better. But that human element, especially in home services, is always going to be needed, which is why it's such a wonderful thing to look at, especially for women, is these home services businesses, especially ones that make houses more beautiful, which I'm all for that. Paul, before we log off here, I want to make sure anyone interested and Got You Covered knows how to get hold of you. How would they do that?
Yeah, we have a website called gotchacoveredfranchising.com. That's a really good place to start. It has just a lot of good open information about who we are and what we do. And then gotchacovered.com is our consumer site. There's more information there as well. You can find us on LinkedIn, and just whatever it takes, reach out to us, and we'll be happy to explore with anybody who's interested and see if this is a good fit. It's not always, but it's just nice to go down that road and be very open with each other about arriving potentially at a solution that would be a good fit for everybody. That's the idea.
Absolutely. So, if you could change anything about your life, would there be anything? And if so, what would it be?
Oh boy, that's a good question. Of course, it's probably going to sound cliche, but I like where I'm at and what I'm doing and who I am, and I think that if I would have changed many things in the past, it wouldn't have led to where I am now. So
Mhm.
certainly, I have regrets. I've made some mistakes along the way, but I think that I've learned from those mistakes, and all of that's put me where I am today, and I'm happily married with a great family and doing all the things I want to do. So I'm going to say, Rebecca, I'm good.
You're good.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
I think a lot of that is because you had this mindset of your life has meaning and purpose. So you took everything in stride, right? That this is the way it's meant to be, whether it's as a lesson or as a, a bridge or whatever it is. Why change it? To have that. I think we have more regrets when we don't see meaning in our lives. We don't see that life has purpose. So we regret we did that, or this didn't happen, or the other situation didn't work out. So you have no regrets,
Yeah.
from my perspective, because you had a mindset of meaning and purpose.
Yeah.
I think I had my midlife crisis when I was in my early 20s. So I just got it out of the way. And then from there, I've tried to be on, on the right path for myself.
That's awesome.
A ski bum, a pilot in Alaska. Yeah, that's a midlife crisis.
Right.
Thank you, Paul, for being with us. I really appreciate it. Um, I learned a lot, and I'm going to take on that mindset more clearly. It'll be interesting how I spend my time with that kind of mindset. So thank you for sharing these words of wisdom.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a breath of fresh air to have a deeper conversation about life and how franchising relates to it, because it's very important, and great conversation. Thanks for having me, and for all that you do to help people find the right situation for them.
You bet. And Tracy, hey, you're like the Oreo cookie. You're the front end and the back end of the cookie, and Paul is the creamy center. Wrap this up, girl. What are your thoughts about this interview?
I know you would agree with me, Rebecca. Paul, you are just so personable and relatable. And I just love how you help other business owners find their highest altitude. I just love that. It's like taking everything you've experienced in your life and just infusing it so that others have an amazing, great experience and that their cup is full as it goes around the table. So thank you for being who you are. I learned a lot as well, and this was super enjoyable, a great conversation.
You're too kind, but thank you.
All right. Thank you both for today. And for those of you listening in to the Franchise Woman podcast, where passion and purpose collide, profits are made, and relationships forged, we ask you to share Paul's interview, wisdom in a short period of time. Share it, like it, comment it. And of course, we'll see you next week on another episode.